And now, for the week of May 29th, Adobe Photoshop TV is on the air.
Welcome to Adobe Photoshop TV from the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And here's your hosts, the Photoshop guys, Scott Kelby, Dave Cross, and Matt Kloskowski.
All right, welcome to another congealed episode of Photoshop TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, the fine people who bring you Photoshop User Magazine. All right, and this week's show is sponsored by?
This week's show is sponsored by Strata, Yellow Machine, DLO, iStock Photo, and the fabulous folks of B&H Photo.
The fabulous folks at B&H Photo. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Scott Kelby. Joining me this week in the studio is our special guest co-host, the creative director of NAPP and the creative director of Photoshop User Magazine, Mr. Felix Nelson.
Hello, everyone.
He is here because we had to fire both Matt and Dave. There was a problem on the set. No, Matt and Dave were on the road. Where is Dave?
Actually, I think he was deported back to Canada.
He was deported to Canada.
Actually,
there was a problem at the border.
That's right. He's Tim Hortons, I think, now. Actually, Dave is teaching his Photoshop power sessions in Milwaukee.
He's in Milwaukee. He's actually at the Schlitz factory.
He is. He's drinking as we speak.
And Mr. Matt Kloskowski.
Mr. Matt, I believe Matt is in Adobe, at Adobe's headquarters, actually, in California.
He is, and we have, for the first time ever, a special video tour coming up. Matt is out at Adobe's headquarters. We've got a special tour for you. Matt's there with a camera. He's not only doing a tour, but doing interviews and stuff. We're going to have Matt a little bit later with a very special look at Adobe's headquarters out in San Jose, California.
Is he drinking as well?
He's drinking
okay,
as well.
Good.
All right, so we've got a great show planned for you. Lots of techniques, tutorials, cool stuff. We'll be hearing from Matt and Dave later on in the show, even though that Felix is here. But because Felix is here, we want to put him to work immediately.
Great.
You wanted a tutorial, right?
I certainly did. Actually, this tutorial was one we did in Photoshop Users, the Down and Dirty Tricks column. And it was actually some artwork that we did for Scott's Classic Effects book. So let me get started. All right, right away, what we're going to do is actually show you how to do a 45 RPM, which is, if you're too young to remember what a RPM is, it's a record that's vinyl. It's kind of a CD that only fits
we used
like
to use these things called records.
Yeah,
and you put them on a record
back in the day.
player. It was crazy.
Exactly, it was crazy. A little needle that made all kind of noise. So anyways, that's what we're going to show you how to do. All right, so first off, we're going to go ahead and get the elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to hold on a Shift key to constrain a selection. Now, I'm not sure what constrain means, but it just makes a perfect circle. So don't use the word constrain because it sounds kind of nasty.
Yeah, that's like an Adobe engineering term.
It's not too good. All right, we're going to create a new layer, and let's go ahead and click on there. And we're just going to fill that selection with black. So let's set the foreground color to black. Option delete to fill it with black. Now, we want to make another smaller circle in the center of it, but instead of trying to guess and figure out how to do it, basically we're just going to go up to Select and go under Transform Selection. And we'll enter like 53% there, and 53% there as well. Hit Return, and puts it right in the center of the circle. Well, we're going to delete that little section because we want that to be gone out of there. So that's the beginning parts of our...
And there's your record.
And
Good
there's
tutorial,
a record. It's
Felix.
all done.
Well done. It looks just like one.
It's beautiful. All right, we're going to deselect, and then Command-click on Layer 1 to load the whole thing as selection. Once again, we want to reduce the selection down a little bit. So we're going to go into Select, Transform Selection. And let's only do it like 95% this time. And let's a couple more times. There we go. Now, I'm going to get tricky on you now. I'm going to hold the elliptical tool, and I'm going to subtract. I'm going to subtract from the selection. So just hold on the Option key.
Or the Alt key for you PC users.
Or the Alt key for PC users. Now, it doesn't matter where you start, because you can use your space bar to move it around. So just don't be too concerned about where you're going to start your selection. Be more concerned about where you're going to end it. So let's just kind of guesstimate in the center there. And see, this is what you don't want to do, so let's just undo that. And let's try that again, just like that. And we'll get as close as possible. And this is why you shouldn't drink when you're doing tutorials.
So when's Dave Cross coming back?
He'll be back
soon, right?
As soon as he's released from the authorities.
Just kidding.
So now let's fill this in, this little inside selection that we just made. Let's fill that with gray, and let's just get really close right there. It's good enough. Option delete. Let's fill that with gray. All right, let's deselect. Actually, let's not deselect just yet. We want to add some noise, and because we want to make the little grooves in the vinyl record on this. So go under Filter, choose Noise, add noise, and let's make it 100%. Just crank it up as high as it'll go. Just hit OK. Next thing we want to do, we're going to add some little blurs to it. So go under Blur, under Radio Blur, And same thing, crank it all the way at the top, choose best for your selection, hit OK, and it'll make like some little pseudo little grooves in here. And while you're waiting, you can play with your little...
Oh, that's not bad.
All right. Now to deselect, press Command-L, because we want to darken these edges a little bit, we want to make it more look like grooves. So let's take that shadow output slider, slide it all the way towards the right, and kind of just guesstimate where you think it's. So you just want it to look like it's got little grooves in it. Let's hit OK. That looks pretty good. We're going to press Command-D to deselect. Now we want to add some reflections to this to make it look like it's shiny like an album. So click on, let's create another layer. Let's switch the foreground color to white. Choose the gradient tool. We're going to click on the gradient thumbnail and choose foreground to transparent. And then we want to make sure we choose reflected gradient. So let's make sure we have our selection made. Command click on layer 1 and just click and drag from just off center a little bit up towards the left, because that's where our highlight's going to be. That works pretty well. Now you're going to take that, lower that to or actually change it to overlay. And if it doesn't quite give you the effect you want, just go ahead and duplicate that layer again just by dragging it to the new layer icon. And you can lower the opacity just a hair. Let's try like 75%. And that looks pretty good. Now we're going to deselect, and we're going to start working on the inside label of our record. So what I'm going to go back to layer 1 where the black portion was, and we're just going to use the magic wand tool. I know you hardly ever use the magic wand tool for anything, but it works.
Tragic wand tool.
Yes, it is tragic. It works on here pretty well. We're going to expand the selection a little bit because we want to kind of overlap the black part of the record a bit. So let's just go into Selection, Modify, go to Expand, and just 1 pixel will work. Hit OK just to give us a little bit of an edge there. Now we're going to create another layer. Let's go ahead and change the foreground color to a dark red. And let's change the background color to a really light red, or almost a pink color. Choose our gradient tool. Let's click back on the gradient editor there, change foreground to background, and let's make sure you choose linear gradient. And we're just going to click from the bottom right up towards the left of the selection. So we've got that part. Same thing, we want to knock out a hole that's like a donut hole. So we're going to go back up to Selection, Transform Selection. Let's lower that like, let's say 43%.
Wow, that was a pretty good guess for size.
Oh, I'm good with sizes. right to the right on money every time.
43. I would have chosen 45.
No, 44 and a half won't work. It has to be 43.
43. No. Perfect.
All right, we'll deselect. We're going to add a quick bevel to this because we want this to look a little bit 3D. So let's go ahead and choose Bevel and Emboss. Let's move this over so you can see it. And let's take a look. We want to change the, let's lower the size to maybe like 3. We don't want to be quite so prominent. And let's change the contour to like 165. Once again, these are perfect, exact numbers I'm giving you.
So these aren't really the exact numbers you're getting.
No. These are very random. Okay. Yeah, these are random. So
I always wonder when someone puts in a number like 43%. Like,
43.3.
I think someone practiced this before.
Yes. So we've got a little bit of a bevel edge. Now we want to make it look like the inside is kind of sucked in a little bit. It looks like it's pushed in a bit. So we're going to make a selection, all right, that same layer. And just try and get as close to the middle. Doesn't have to be too precise. I'm going to soften that edge. So I'm going to bring up the feather dialog box. 10 pixels works really well. Notice how these are right exactly on the numbers that I need. It's amazing.
Interesting.
All right. Press Command-J to bring that to its own layer. And we're going to hide the bevel and emboss. Double-click on the word effect because we want to bring in an outer shadow or an outer glow. Click on outer glow. Let's change the screen mode to normal. We're going to choose like a dark red again for the color. That's something like that will probably work. And hit OK. Now, the last thing we're going to do, I'm going to close that up so you can see it. I'm going to press Command-L to bring up the levels dialog box again. And I'm going to lower the midtone slider just towards the left so we kind of lighten the inside portion of that record. Just like that. And the last thing we do, we're going to reveal some text to give it some realism. All right, that's how you do a record with Photoshop. And once again, that was from the Photoshop, or the Down and Dirty Tricks column that Scott and I write in Photoshop User Magazine.
Why, there it is. Well, thank you, Mr. Nelson. Thanks very much for that tip. All right, I brought a tip for you this time, and my tip is, well, I get a lot of people asking me, and here's the question they're basically saying. I've taken some photos. I'm either selling them to a stock agency, or I'm putting them online for my portfolio, or I'm putting them somewhere. And what their concern is basically their own personal privacy. They're concerned that when you take a digital camera shot these days, and you hit the shutter, of course, you probably know, it embeds all this metadata or XF data into the photograph. So if you were to take that shot and put it up on the web or give it to a stock photo company, it's going to have in it your make and model of your camera, perhaps the serial number,
All kinds
the
of
date
stuff
you
in there,
took it, the time you took it, what lens you use, there's all kinds of different stuff, and some people don't want to give out that information, understandably why. So basically the question is how do I strip out that metadata? Well, here's how to do it, or here's how it's done. And what you're going to do is start off, well, first let's look where that metadata lives. So if somebody were to take your photo off the web and download it, they could just go right here to File Info. And right in here, if they go to camera data 1, you can see the name of what make it is, what model the camera is, what time it was taken, your shutter speed, your exposure, all that kind of information is here, your ISO. It's all here. If they go to camera data 2, there's even more information there. So to hide all that stuff, here's what you do. It's very, very simple. It's amazingly simple. Select all. Just go to Select and choose All. And copy that. So we'll just choose Copy. You're going to create a new document. So what's great about it is once you've copied something into Photoshop's memory, when you create a new document, it creates a new document that is exactly the size of what you just copied. So you just have to hit OK. Up pops a new document. You hit Paste. And then you're going to press Command-E on Mac or Control-E on PC, which merges the two together. So this is the shot that you will send to the stock agency or put on your website or whatever. And if you go to the file info and take a look, you'll notice that there is absolutely no camera data. Look, the XF data is gone. You've stripped out the XF data.
That's pretty sweet.
It is sweet. Now, here's the thing. It's kind of a pain to do every time, so what I'm going to recommend that you do is actually go and write an action to do this for you. If you've never used actions before, it is a tape recorder that lives inside of Photoshop and records your every step. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit New and create our new action. We'll call it Strip Out XF, E-X-I-F, all right? That's the XF data that's in your photo. We're going to hit Record. Now it's recording my steps. So step 1 was select all. Step 2 was copy, right? So there's copy. Step 3 is create a new document, and you can always just hit OK. Step, 4 is paste. Step 5 is merge down, Command-E or Control-E on a Macintosh. Then you go and hit the stop button right here in the Actions palette. So now you can assign this to an F key on your keyboard if you want or whatever. But what you can do now, let's close that document. So now, next time when you want to do this whole thing, you'll just go to your strip out XF data, you'll hit play, and in just a second or two, you'll have a version right there, and you'll see again that the XF information is completely stripped out. There's camera data 1, camera data 2, not a thing there. So that's how you do it. You strip it out like that.
There's only one problem with that. You didn't enter like 43%, any exact numbers like I did on mine.
No, I didn't have to use any exact numbers like 43% or any of that Mr. Smarty Pants. All right. It is time to take a break. We're going to be right back here. Hey, before we do, I just want to mention there is a great conference that is coming up, and it's quite a big conference. It's the Photoshop Soup to Nuts Conference. It's actually, it takes place in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it's coming up here very shortly at the end of June. And all the big names are speaking there. Like, for example,
Tell me, please.
the man who wrote Photoshop, Thomas Knoll. It's actually run by Thomas and his wife, Ruth Knoll.
Right.
They run the event. It's an incredible event. I got to speak there last year, and it's just a blast. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great speakers there. Of course, I think Jeff Sheeway will be there, Bruce Frazier. I think Katrine Eisman's there. A bunch of the big names. I will be there as well.
Very
little
big names.
Yeah, no. But anyway, I invite you to come and join me and all the great speakers. We're going to have a great time in Ann Arbor, Michigan this summer. Go to Photoshop Soup 2, the number 2, nuts.org and check it out. PhotoshopSoupToNuts.org. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with more Felix Nelson here at Adobe Photoshop TV. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you a creative professional? If you are, you can't afford to miss a single issue of Layers magazine, the how-to magazine for everything Adobe. Layers gives you amazing tutorials, tips, and tricks that help you master Photoshop, InDesign, Flash, and the entire creative suite. We also give you enough creative inspiration to turn your next project into a masterpiece. Available on newsstands nationwide, and visit us online at layersmagazine.com. Save over 50% off the cover price when you subscribe online.
Alrighty, we are back, and I've got huge news.
Huge news.
This news is ludicrous big.
Ludicrous news.
Well, finally, at the request of many, many people, we have something unique. It is called the Best of Photoshop TV, the DVD. Yes, folks, this incredible piece of art is now available. You can go to photoshopvideos.com and get your own copy. Of course, we'll be giving a copy away a little bit later. But yes, we have a DVD. Now, here's what I want to tell you what the DVD is and what it isn't. First, the DVD is not like the regular show because we only chose the best, most juiciest, delicious snippets, the best, juicy, delicious, good stuff. So there's not a lot of talking. It's mostly just tutorial. Shut up. There's no jokes. There's no fun.
No commercials?
No commercials, no sponsors, no nothing. It's just the meat. So it's available now. Go check it out at photoshopvideos.com. Check it out. All righty. Now it is time to do something very unique. This is a first for us. I think it's a first for anybody, is a video tour of Adobe's headquarters. Our roving reporter, Matt Kloskowski. Our roving reporter. You know, professional TV shows would stop right then and retake it.
No, we
Are we going to do it?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
We're going to Matt Kloskowski. What's his name? Kloskowski.
He is Kloskowski.
Our roving reporter who is out at Adobe's headquarters in San Jose, California, to give you an on-scene report. He ran into some of the Photoshop team, some of the engineers, and
he's rocking the house keys. There you go.
He's doing that thing. We're going to take you there right now. So over to you, Matt.
All right, I'm over here at the Adobe headquarters, and I'm going to take a walk over to where the engineers are. So come on and follow along.
So maybe we'll get a glimpse of some source code on the screen as you film.
The dead cat of shame there.
Oh yeah. What? You broke the build?
I broke the build.
Oh yeah, you should explain.
Okay, Russell, point at your cat.
That moves to whoever last broke the build.
Oh no.
Yeah, Chris had it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
And John wasn't kidding when he said 5 computers in each office.
Right, that's my, let's see, there's my laptop, which is my main machine with its second monitor, my main Power Mac with its second monitor, my PC, and my Intel Mac. That's sort of a minimal set.
Right, yeah. Kind of keeping it real.
It changes depending on what.
Speaking of launch time, this is Edward. He's one of the guys hard at work on
Hi, Edward.
performance.
That's Edward.
Sorry?
The driver now.
That's right, yeah.
And he comes and beats on our door if we screw up, if we
Launch
add
time.
1 millisecond to the launch time.
I do. Or anything like that. That's my
Well, hey,
job.
the Photoshop users of the world out there appreciate that.
I darken people's doors. That's my
That's
job.
right. That's,
Right.
Yep,
Yeah, you
that's
don't
his
wanna-
job.
That's
You
why
wanna
we're
get
bright
it.
colors, because if I'm going to darken your door, I want to make sure at least you're going, oh, wow, clown. Oh, no. Okay. Or at least bright colors. I don't know. So you smile. See, it's all about smiles.
So yeah, people are just humming away, and we've got folks also in Minnesota, we've got some in India, Colorado, Florida, so the sun never set. Chicago, do we?
No, Chicago. Colorado, you said.
Yeah,
right,
so sort of, this is the main hive, but there's a lot of work always going on elsewhere.
We're a very distributed team at this point. So.
Yeah. So we're now trying to reorganize the floor a little bit so that it's not just the developers in one place and the testers in another and product management in another. It's much more integrated so that you've got
People
folks.
you work with most closely are right next to you.
So you notice, for example, Adam being near Edward, so they can really focus on the performance work. And here we've got Meredith and Paul working on PDF.
Mr. Marks here. No.
That doesn't mean we can't surreptitiously peek in.
Right.
Just we should point out the Barney couch while we're at it,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Used to be in our common area.
right. Sort of. The name is sort of self-evident once you see the couch.
The Barney couch.
Yes.
And Mark had a much larger collection of interesting little figures. Well, there he's got some of them, his Martian guys. And
So we'll have to come back when we're a bit more settled.
yeah. Oh, we all get trophy copies of Photoshop.
Oh,
And
yeah.
these are Mark's trophy copies of all the versions he's worked on. And so almost all of us have a stack of these where we've saved the box of every version of Photoshop we've worked on. Most of us a big chunk of us have been here since Photoshop 5. Scott's been here since Photoshop.
Oh, I worked on 2.5 for Unix, so.
Code.
That's excellent.
It's the
Okay.
Alrighty, thanks, Matt, for that on-scene coverage out in San Jose.
The kid's good.
The kid's good, let me tell you, that kid.
He's not bad.
He's not bad, that
he has
kid.
a gift.
All right. Hey, I got something very cool to show you. It's a Photoshop CS2 thing. So if you have Photoshop CS2, you're going to want to check this out. It's actually a part of the Adobe Bridge in CS2 that a lot of people don't know about, but it's so incredibly cool. It's called the Photoshop Services. I know what you're thinking, the what?
Photoshop
The Photoshop Services are one of the coolest things about having the bridge. And I'm going to show you just one little aspect of it. So let's go to the bridge here first. So here we are on the bridge. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose a photo here. And let's take this photo right here of the cutest little baby in the whole wide world.
And whose baby might that be?
Why, that's my baby. That's my little sweet daughter, Kira. She's just 4 months old. She's her first trip to Disney here. She's looking over at a guy over here who is holding balloons. And she's smiling, which is very cool. Okay, I want to make a stamp of her. So we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go under Photoshop Services, and we're going to choose right here, Order Photo Stamps. Now, I got to tell you something about these stamps. These are real, honest-to-goodness U.S. postage stamps with your photograph on it. So you can put your photograph in there.
That's way cool.
And the Postal Service will honor them, and you can, instead of buying stamps with somebody else's picture, you can have your picture. It's very cool. Here's how easy it is to use. Click on the photo you want on your stamp, then choose Order Photo Stamps by going under the tool menu there, under Photoshop Services, and choosing Order Photo Stamps. Okay, this little window pops up, and this is so ridiculous. See, it says it's easy. It's ridiculously easy, but I want to just point down here where it says, Photo stamps are officially authorized by the U.S. Postal Service and are 100% real postage. So just to showing, I'm not making this up. All right, so step one is upload your photo. Just click this little button called, well, upload my photo. Which it's doing right here. There it goes. So it's uploading your photo, and it's uploading now. So what this is basically going to do, it's going to basically upload your photo. It's going to give you a little, yep, you got it. Then you're going to get to go and actually customize exactly how your stamp looks, and that's part of the fun of this. And then you just click order, and you can choose as many stamps as you want. Sheets of 20, sheets of 100, sheets of 10,000.
Gee, that's crazy.
So, all right. So once you've done that, there it is. Congratulations, you successfully uploaded your image to PhotoStamps. Now you hit continue, and it's going to launch your web browser, which is doing that just right now. It's going to take you to their page. So let me kind of close in here so you can see it. There we go. It's going to take you to the PhotoStamps page, and it's going to show you your image. Is that the image you want? Yes. So all you do is click on your image. And when you click on your image, it's going to take you to another page where you get to customize your stamp. And watch, look at that. It's loading it in. All right. And there she is. And cool, look, you get to just click and drag where you want her. You can zoom in a little, so there's a little zoom control here. Let's zoom in. Oh, yeah. Super baby. Okay, move her over a little bit. Get just the picture. Oh, yeah. Perfect. There she is. And then you can also decide, I kind of went a little crazy there on the zooming, what kind of border you want. If you want to put a black border on it, or you can kind of toggle through here, choose different borders. I think, let's see if they have a pink. There it is, the pink border. So you get to, it also changes the price of the little deal here. You get to choose which kind of, we're going to get regular 39 cents postage, and you can get sheets of 20 for $17.99 or more sheets. You get discounts and things like that. You hit continue, and it orders your stuff, and that's it. You get the stamps, but there's more.
Wait,
they actually did something differently. That's kind of cool. They did something differently. It used to be when this first started off, you could only do your own pictures, right? So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to close this out of here. You can only do your own favorite photos, but now you can do corporate logos. So if you want to, and I've got a logo here, it's going to do the same thing. So if you have a corporate logo, and this is new, this is just approved by the Postal Service, and now you can take your own, and so everything that comes from your company, here we'll just do the upload photo thing again, can have your corporate logo on it.
So I see a lot of Photoshop TV stamps being printed out there.
That's what we need. Hey, we could give those away as gifts.
That's right, absolutely.
Not only do you get the Photoshop TV DVD,
but 10 million stamps of Photoshop
not 10
TV.
million stamps. I was thinking like 2. Okay, they get expensive. All right, so we're uploading this corporate logo here, and this is from a production studio out in San Jose, California. I like the way we always throwing things to San Jose. It's uploading as we speak, the barn door logo. And in just a moment, it'll have it uploaded, and then it will then give us a continue button, and you know the rest. And I'm not going to even make you sit through the rest of this unless it happens really, really quickly. And it did, so we'll hit continue, and it takes us to the website and says, is this your logo? Well, yes, it is, so we're going to click on it, and it's going to bring us to this little page. It's going to load the logo, and the logo is kind of wide, so we're going to have to zoom actually out this time a little bit, but get it in there and just give you an idea of what you can do. And now it's got the black border on it, of course. Once I zoom out enough, I would probably switch it to a red border. So it would go right through here to red, which is, right there, one too far. There you go. Choose how many you want, and everyone will get your logo on your stamps. What a great way to market.
That works really well.
Stealth marketing.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have that. Hey, it's time to check in with Dave Cross.
Mr. Dave.
He's on the road. We're going to check in with Dave real quick.
The Canadian.
Dave, there you go. We're repping him even though he's not here. All right, we're going to throw things over to Dave. What do you got, Dave?
I just have a real quick little tip for you, and that is to recognize the importance of knowing certain little keyboard shortcuts instead of having to try and switch tools, especially if you're in the middle of using one tool. For example, let's say I had my lasso tool selected and I suddenly decided I need to zoom in. Well, rather than switch back to the zoom tool, I could hold down the space bar and the command key on the Mac, Control, and Windows, and then click and drag to zoom in. Now, as I'm deciding to work, if I'm in the wrong position, I need to scroll. Instead of moving to the scroll bars, I can just hold down only the space bar. Now notice how the cursor actually gives me feedback. So when I'm on command space bar, control space bar, I get the zoom tool. When I'm on space bar, I get just the hand tool. If I do option or alt space bar, then I get the zoom out tool. So as you can see, the cursor really gives you that feedback. Now, some of these tools, these shortcuts, also work while you're in the middle of using the tool. For example, let's say I was trying to make a selection with my lasso tool, and all of a sudden I got towards the edge of the screen. I can't see anymore. Well, I wouldn't let go of the mouse, hold down the space bar, scroll over, let go of the mouse, and continue. So you can see it basically what it lets you do is not have to worry about starting and stopping over again. Similar kind of idea if you're using the paintbrush and you decide you're in the wrong place, space bar, drag. Now I also decide I want to pick up a color from here. Well, rather than switching to the eyedropper, I just hold down the Option or Alt key. It gives me the eyedropper. I can click to pick up the color I want to paint with. The other thing that's important to note is many of these commands, or these keyboard shortcuts, also work while you're using some other function. For example, let's make this a little bigger. I'm going to press Command or Control L for levels. So the levels dialog box is open, but all of a sudden I realize I'm not looking at the right place. Well, look there again. Space bar to scroll, Command or Control space bar to zoom in, space bar, and so on. So even though I have a dialog box open, I can still use many of these keyboard shortcuts, so that way I don't have to stop what you're doing and start over again simply to change the view.
All right, we're back. I'm Scott Kelby, and here's Felix Nelson.
Hold on, I'm still stuck on this stamp thing. This
thing's
pretty cool.
Hey, by the way, this stamp thing is incredibly cool.
It is cool.
But next week I'll show you another one. I'll show you another. We're going to look at it because that's just one of the things. There's many things.
Great.
Next week we'll show you another one. Okay, but in the meantime, hey, we've got some cool things coming. But one thing I want to tell you something that's going on over at Layers Magazine. Now you may have heard that Quark Express 7 shipped.
That's right.
And it's our favorite program. No, we're Adobe guys. This is Photoshop TV, and of course we use InDesign. Felix and his crew use InDesign for all of our magazines.
We've converted everybody from Quark babies all to InDesign. They all love InDesign now.
Oh yeah, well, InDesign absolutely rocks. Well, Quark 7, of course, is getting a lot of attention right now, and we want to make sure that it's getting the proper attention that it deserves. So over at Layers Magazine, we have launched the InDesign Resource Center, and what it is basically is about 25 little movies that look at all the new features of Quark Express 7, and then we show you how much better InDesign. No, it's not exactly that. We show you how they're all playing catch-up to InDesign. No, it's not exactly that.
And how you never want to ever use InDesign there.
No. So anyway, if you were using Quark and you're thinking, should I jump to InDesign, go to the InDesign Resource Center. You can find it by going to layersmagazine.com, and there you will find a link to the whole layer, the InDesign. What's the word I'm looking for? The InDesign Resource Center. Thank you. And there's all kinds of really cool stuff there. And if you were wondering how InDesign stacks up against the new Quark 7, you will be very pleased. So go check it out over there. All right. Next, we are going to jump over to the news. Now, as you know, Matt Kloskowski is off in San Jose. So we have a special guest doing the news today. Though Dave Cross is in Milwaukee, so he can't do the news.
So do we wave the flag for?
We do wave the flag for Dave's daughter. That's right, Dave's daughter, Stephanie, who is also more popularly known as the iPod
girl,
Flea Girl, who was featured in the iPod Flea ad that you can also probably find at layersmagazine.com. Right. She is here doing the news, so we're going to the Storm Team News Center with Stephanie Cross, the Canadian boss.
Hey guys, Adobe has released an update for Adobe Bridge from Adobe Updater for Mac and Windows version of Bridge. The update, available only using Updater, will bring Bridge to version 1.0.4. According to Adobe, this is a small update mostly aimed at fixing security issues. Stamps.com has announced the availability in the United States of photo stamps from within Adobe Photoshop. Using Photoshop services in Adobe Bridge, users can see the photo stamps, web pages, and place an order for actual postage stamps from within the program. The Adobe Seminar Tour continues with one-day Photoshop seminars in various cities. Burt Monroy will be in Salt Lake City on June 1st with the Creativity Tour. The Photoshop Tour with Ben Wilmore will be in Minneapolis on June 5th. And Dave Cross will be in Nashville on June 2nd with the Photoshop CS2 Power Tour. Visit photoshopseminars.com for more details and upcoming dates. And finally, George Jardine has posted a new podcast on Adobe Lightroom about the Windows version of Lightroom, Camera Raw, and DNG. You can find it in the iTunes Music Store by searching Lightroom. That's it for the news. I'm Stephanie, the iPod Flea Girl, signing off. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie, for stepping in there and doing the news. Felix, boy, I sure miss Matt doing that news. Man, I can't wait till Matt gets back and does the news.
All right.
Okay, hey.
All right. Listen, we're going to take a quick break here, so we'll be back in a few minutes with Adobe Photoshop TV.
Alrighty, we are back. Hey, it's contest time. Am I right?
I believe it is.
All right, and we've got some fabulous prizes. But first, let's look at who won last week's contest. The question was posed by Dave Cross, because it's Dave's trivia contest. The question was, where do you find this dialog box in Photoshop? The answer is, dun dun dun, that's the color halftone filter. So if you figured it out and sent us in, you might have won. In fact, I know who won. This person right here. Through the magic of post-production, the winner's name will magically appear.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so there it is. Now, on to this week's contest. We have many fabulous prizes for you. First, be the first on your block to win the Photoshop TV, the Best of Photoshop TV DVD, this fabulous new DVD starring myself, Matt Kloskowski, and Dave Cross. And the term Rockin' is never used one single time on the entire DVD. You get that. You get this book. This book is called Photoshop CS2 Killer Tips, and it's written by Felix and I. It is a wonderful book. It's about making you faster and more productive in Photoshop. And you get a one-year subscription. Last but not least, a one-year subscription to Layers Magazine. Layers Magazine is the how-to magazine for everything Adobe. So it doesn't cover just Photoshop, but it covers all the Creative Suite stuff and lots more. So those are your prize package if you can answer this question. Where do you find this dialog box? Another tricky dialog box question in Photoshop. First person to answer it, well, actually we pick somebody at random, don't we? So send in your entries. Go to photoshoptv.com. You'll see a little link on the right side of the page that says enter contest. Send us your entry. We'll pick a winner as someone who has the right answer, of course, at random. And by the way, people have been asking, what if I live in England? What if I live in Europe? What if I live in Asia? We send the prizes anywhere you are, so it really doesn't matter to us. We just want you to enter and hopefully win. So that is basically it for the contest this week. And how many times can you enter, Felix?
As many times as you like.
No, just once. This is why we don't have Felix on the show more often.
See, I'm very giving. I like people to win
He
stuff.
wants people to win.
But they
we don't. Matt and
really
Dave,
stiff.
they're so stingy.
Yeah.
So anyway, we like to leave you with 3 things to do between this week and next week. I got a couple little things I brought you. First is there is a magazine in the UK that you should know about. It's called Photoshop Creative, and it is a Photoshop magazine from the UK. It's an excellent magazine. You can go check them out. I think I have their web address written here. It is, surprisingly, pshopcreative.co.uk. So go check them out. Very cool magazine if you're living in the UK.
And we have Jim DeVital and Helene Glassman are actually doing a hands-on workshop in Atlanta.
D.
Jimmy D. And they have dates coming up in June, so we'll show you those.
Isn't it like June 7th through 9th or something?
June
like that?
7th through 9th, yes it is.
Yeah, so I'm hoping this airs before then. No, but anyway, so go check that out. They got a very cool digital hands-on workshop. My last one is it's a podcast called The Digital Photography Show. The web address is thedigitalphotographyshow.com. Go check them out if you're into digital photography. It's a great show. This week, I believe they have Rick Salmon, the world-famous Rick Salmon, who is just an incredible photographer and an incredible guy, great Photoshop instructor. He comes to Photoshop World and everything else. Very, very cool. Check them out as well. Well, guys,
that's it, I guess.
That's it. That's it, I guess. That's it, I guess. Well,
we're
see ya.
just going to end it like that.
That's it for this week's episode of Photoshop TV. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to all of our sponsors. And we will catch you guys next week right here on Adobe Photoshop TV.
Thanks for watching Adobe Photoshop TV. See you next week.